Yeah. So, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So we are the Irish Seaports Network. So just to follow up a little bit, we had a meeting there in Rosslare, I think, gosh, a couple of weeks ago now, just to talk about possible funding opportunities that could be applied for on the Wexford side or on the Irish side. And so we'll talk a little bit about that to begin with. But these are the main kind of headings. So some of the resources that we have, just to remind everyone of them, an update on the website, and then to talk about the action plan we have in terms of getting funding for the network going forward, and also plans that go beyond that as well. Oh, I'll give you that in a second. So the meeting in Rosslare was actually really positive. We had people come from Wexford Local Development. We had people from Wexford County Council. Actually, all the main kind of movers and shakers from the tourism industry within Wexford. We didn't have Fáilte or anyone like that, but and they kind of imparted some of their wisdom to us. So really, we had a good attendance. Mags was there as well, and the talk really was about, actually, we need a stronger plan. We need a stronger action plan that would be worthy of receiving funding from any higher level, any organization. So we've got some ideas already from the workshop that we did in April in Cork. And we've whittled those down a bit, and then we've added some in from the meeting in Wexford as well. So we'll do a little poll later on all of that, just to really fine tune what you want to move forward with, and then we can get the application in. So I'll talk about that a bit more. But first, we wanted to give you a taster of the public's response, and just the response to the creative the resources and really all the kind of work that Ports Past and Present has done, but it especially in relation to things like the app and creative events and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to hand over to Caroline to talk about that for a bit. I'm wondering.
Great. Thanks, Claire.
Do you want me to go to the next slide?
Yeah, please do. And just to say, the reason we're showing you this is because at the moment, an independent company called Wavehill, they are externally evaluating all of the different Ireland Wales projects, all of the different projects that have been going on in the last while. And bless you.
Can I ask everybody to mute themselves while the presentation is running, if that's okay? Sorry, carry on, Caroline.
Right, no problem. So basically, because we've been gathering all of the evidence for this external evaluation company, it's been reminding us that you may not have seen all of the kind of feedback that the team has been gathering over the years, especially after the beautiful exhibitions and all of the creative works and the guided walks that people have been doing, and all of the resources that yourselves and others in the port communities have been putting together and working so hard on. So this is just to give you a flavour of the kind of public response your work and the work of all the creatives and the others has been garnering. So for example, around the Ports Places app, they have been saying things like, the app such as this definitely increased my awareness, but also makes it much easier to access the information. Another person said the app will be very useful for us to inform visitors about our place, its attractions, events, and its stories. So there you hear a local business seeing the value in the app. Another person says it helps hugely not to pass something by, knowing nothing of the story behind it. This was actually somebody on an app walk that was basically going, I never knew this. I never knew that this was here. I do this walk all the time in this community, but I didn't know these kind of stories. Another person said, I'm always curious about these things. I will encourage others to come. So there you hear people who are experiencing these kind of resources are then becoming themselves advocates for the area, advocates for attracting their network into your ports and your communities. One person said, I'm always curious about these things. I will encourage others to come. Sorry, that was the one I already did. I really enjoyed hearing about the history combined with the story of people. This is something that we've been hearing again and again. Visitors and locals are so hungry for those stories, those hidden histories that people have about the social histories of the place. They really are hungry for those, and it just helps to build their relationship to the port places. But also they love to hear from the local people themselves. So as this person said, the way in which it was presented by Martin Cavaney, wonderful. There's nothing that beats the local person, the guides like Beth, presenters like Martin, telling your own story. And then the graph here is about some of the creative events. So just to give you a flavor just of the events that were held in March of this year, just the level of people's satisfaction. Again, people who attended those exhibitions, they tended to be satisfied or very satisfied. You know, they really do enjoy and connect with the kind of outputs from a project like this, but most especially they connect with the people and the places when you tell your own stories. And the network is all about really hoping that you continue to tell these stories and continue to take what has been done and build on it, because there is a legacy here, and that's what we're hearing very much from the evaluation company as well. But I'll hand it back to you now, Claire. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Caroline. That's it's so nice to hear this positive feedback. You know, I think what you're saying is so true, that it's the communities, it's you guys yourselves who have done all of that. We co-created all this together, and not to forget that, and that kind of richness of material is all there to use. And if I can go to the next slide, I would. There we go. And so, you know, that includes not only the festivals that we've had, but the films, the heritage stories, and the app, of course, the creative work. And there are things online, there's podcasts on the website still as well, and the business stories. So all of that stuff is there. Don't forget about it. You know, I think it especially the heritage stories, because they're things that you can probably use for your business and tease out and develop even further. And then, of course, each port has their own film. So, and I know that you can do whatever you want with that. You can edit it as well. So just don't forget about these resources. And the other thing that I'm really delighted to say is that the Port Places app now, so the company that developed it originally through Lancaster University, the lady who runs that, Deborah Sutton, has set up a Port Places, or well, a Safarnama, which is the name of her app company, a Safarnama user group. So anyone who wants to author the app, maybe you want to set up a new experience in your area, or you want to add your business to an existing experience, there's a group there, to kind of a community of practice where you can share tips and support each other. But also anyone who wants to have more kind of detailed help, you can directly contact Debs, and she will talk you through that process. So if anyone needs a bit more guidance, I think Caroline's going to drop in the link for the Safarnama Facebook group. So please go ahead and join that. And I'm sure you can just ask questions there as and when. But if you need more detail on how to connect with Debs, just drop me a line and I'll put you in touch. So now the next bit, this is the more exciting thing, is our website, and I'm going to hand over to Danielle to give us a bit of a discussion on this. I wonder, do I need to stop sharing, Danielle?
You can't start screen sharing while other participants are sharing. Okay, so if you stop sharing, I think I might be able to.
Okay, perfect.
So just an update in general, I suppose we've been working really hard to write as many business stories as we could and get them on the Ports Past and Present website. Owen, I'm so conscious that we haven't written a business story about Johnstown Castle. If you wanted to write one today and send it to me, we could get it.
It probably won't be today, Danielle. I'm off tomorrow. It might be sometime next week. I'm not sure if there's a time frame on it that you need it from me.
Well, I mean, it's not. We can get them on the website. The one reason that we're kind of we're rushing the Welsh stories we want to get translated into Welsh. Nudge Beth on your Anglesey tourist guides, because we actually have a deadline for getting things into Welsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lorna sent in one of the tourist guides.
And Lorna was saying that you're going to meet and write. I'll give her a poke. Jeremy,
I think
Also-
I think Lorna sent in a reply yesterday.
Brilliant. I'll go have a look. And Jeremy, I'm very conscious that we have a story about the boat tours, but we don't have a story about North Pembrokeshire trade and tourism. And is that something that we should just really quickly work on, to have something that's specifically about trade and tourism? So I'll send you an email as well. So I'll send all three of you an email. Petra, I'm so delighted that we can see that we've got your story done and it's gone off to translation. So we kind of felt that writing these business stories was a really nice way of celebrating port businesses. And we're heading for sort of 30 something on the website now, which is just wonderful, you know, and from all different places. So, Owen, I know you probably already have beautiful photography. So it's something that we could, you know, that we could do together. So I'll be in contact with you separately. We'll get those things nailed down. Brilliant. So we're working around that and getting as many Welsh stories as we can translated. So that'll be happening as well. And then the Ports Past and Present website, we've designed a new kind of front face to that. So it's going to have a slightly more tourist facing face and point out all the resources that have been made. So the business stories will sit on the Ports Past and Present website, but we've also made a new website for them, which I will stop waffling and now share. Here we go. It's this one, share. So here is, it's a simple WordPress website. Can you see it? Am I sharing my whole screen? Okay. And so the first page really just explains what the network is, why it was founded, why ports are unique, what the aims of the network are, you know, areas of development that we've kind of talked about and we've generated through discussions and through brainstorming, and then how to follow the network on different social media. And there's just a link to the app then for people to discover the ports. We've just listed the members here. We were wondering if we should change this top image for the one of the lovely collage of all of the members that we have. And it just lists all of the members of the network in alphabetical order and links to their websites. And then resources, links to the app, and then also to all of those training videos that we created with Boffin Consultancy, with Mags. So all of the training that was done over the winter of 2022-23 is sitting there as a resource for anybody who wants to use it, about using cultural heritage to promote tourism, and using, you know, adding to the app and telling your business story, and all those kind of things are there. Then in Spotlight, what we've done is we've lifted the business stories that were on the Ports Past and Present website, and we've popped them into this new tourism business website. So that there's a sort of double share of the stories. And then under contact, we have just that we've set up a Gmail. So we've set up this WordPress website for the Ports Network, and we set up a Gmail account for the Ports Network too. So obviously we need to hand this to somebody at some point just to kind of keep looking after, but it's a pretty simple website, so we can give a lesson on how to edit it or add content or anything like that. The other good news from the project is that one of the kind of ambitions of the project was to have signage in the Irish seaports that would prompt people to visit the Ports Past and Present website and then jump on and find all of the cultural heritage stories and the business stories, and be encouraged to spend time in the port and its hinterland. And it's been a kind of a long road. but we are happy to say that there will be signage in Fishguard and in Rosslare. There's already a beautiful Sea of Stories in Pembroke Dock, and we're hoping to put a little bit more signage in there. And then in Dublin and Holyhead, our videos are going to be linked from screens in the Stena terminals. So this is it's lovely to be kind of finishing the project in this way, when we've actually managed to kind of put the project in the port terminals where people can link to all of these resources going forwards, and through that link to the business stories and the business network. So yeah, so it feels crazy that we're coming to an end, but that we almost have sped up and got loads of things done. So good, hopefully good news all around from everyone, and you'll be hearing from me to chase you about business stories. Apologies. Claire, I'll hand back to you. And
Thanks,
any feedback
Danielle.
on the website, it would be really gratefully received. So if you've noticed anything about the website that you think could be better, drop me an email. I'll put my email into the chat.
Cool. Thanks, Danielle. That's so cool. It's very excited about that. Okay, so I'll go back to what I was doing a minute ago, and here we go. So that's the update. So this is the image you were talking about, replacing for, what was it again, that there was something there already.
Yeah, we had an image of just us all brainstorming, but I think
Oh, that's right.
all the
Yeah.
people behind the network is a really nice representation of the network, I think, and all of these people who've been so actively involved.
Yeah. Okay. So if people want to we chat about this at the end, actually, in any other business, if people want to make any comments about that, you can do it then. So yeah, so this idea that's come from really, higher level tourism management and organizations, and very much from a business thinking point of view, is that we really need a stronger kind of long-term plan, a business plan essentially for the network, and especially when we're applying for funding. So it's turned out that on the Wexford side, we're not quite ready for that funding yet. The network needs to be a more formalized entity that can apply for funding in and of itself. So we're not quite there yet. So the intention is to apply for the Agile Kymru funding, which I think we talked about at the last meeting, which is a Welsh fund that it basically to develop things like the type of network that we have across the Irish Sea between Ireland and Wales. And it can also, the money can also be spent, even though it's claimed by an organization in Wales, in Pembrokeshire, it can be spent in Ireland as well. So it benefits both. So yet some of the aims of the fund are to mobilize economic cooperation across and around the Irish Sea, add value to existing activities such as the network that we already have, and deliver economic and social benefits generally. So some of the examples of this are to increase engagement across maybe the business world across the sea, or the cultural world, highlight strengths that already exist and highlight partnerships that already exist, identify new opportunities to develop these and to build them, and also to pilot activity. So we've talked a little bit amongst the group in different meetings about the ideas of having some kind of cross-coastal festival that maybe travels around, or an Irish Sea Biennale, anything like that. And then also, I think it wants to help, it could be used as almost an advocacy lobbying platform in a way, like to try and get more attention for the Irish Sea as a place. I think this is a really new concept, and that's what the Agile Kymru funding is trying to do, is to focus in on this, what they call the Irish Sea space. And I think what's happening until recently is that tourism seems to be siloed between you've got your Visit Wales and you've got your Fall to Ireland, very focused on the domestic markets. So what we're doing is really new, and actually really important, especially post-Brexit. And we really have to kind of shout about it and convince people of that this is the future, and you know, we're ahead of the curve essentially. So as part of this, we're kind of want to fine tune our application, and we, as I mentioned earlier, we put together a couple of polls. So one is the poll for the short-term goals. Now, I have never launched a poll on Zoom before, so I'm gonna launch our first one, and if you can fill it in while we're live, that would be great. Hope you can see that on your screen.
Yeah, it's showing up, Claire, and there's little boxes against every option for people to tick.
Ooh,
If
that's
they want, if they
exciting.
agree with it, if it's something that the network members want for themselves.
Okay.
On your screen, you had 4 options, but you only put 3 in the poll.
Oh, did I write that? Sorry, there is only 3. There is only 3. That's my mistake.
Maybe in the discussion after the presentation, Jeremy, it would be kind of open to any other ideas,
Okay.
a more open discussion. So in the short term, this one is what can be applied for under the Agile Fund.
Yeah.
So these are the kind of criteria that fit with what the members said they wanted in the previous network meetings and at the brainstorming session in UCC. But if there's any other ideas that might be in the short term, that would be for discussion later.
Okay.
Is that everybody through now? I wonder. I think there's probably, I think the 6, the remaining 2 are probably Caroline and Danielle, actually. Would that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So
I
we're,
didn't vote. That is, it's really for members, isn't it? So
yeah. So I think we finished it. Okay. So that's interesting. So 100% for developing funding for future projects. That's really interesting. And the itineraries is more popular. I'm surprised training is not more popular, but that's really interesting. Okay, cool. So we'll take that forward and we'll add it to the application. Of course, we can, as Caroline said, we'll talk about this a bit more anyway afterwards. So I'll end it now. Oh, I think I can.
That's great, Claire. We're actually just seeing the results of it there.
Lovely.
They've come up on screen, so that's good. Everybody can see how the voting results are looking.
Okay, great, cool. So the next part of this then is our long-term goal. But before I go on to that, so with the short-term goals, the intention is one of the givens in terms of applying for the Agile funding is to put somebody in place, a coordinator who can build capacity and probably do training anyway. And they will then help to grow the network and support it, and they can support all the platforms that we talked about earlier, like the website and the social media platforms. So that's in the short term. That brings us up to the end of March. It's a very short period, but so that will be concentrated intensive work. And then after that, hopefully we'll have more funding by then to put in place our longer term goals. So these are just some of the ideas, and they'll come up on the poll now again. The next one that I'm going to put up for you. Okay, so go for it. I think that's everybody. And share. So you should be able to see that. So it's very clear, I think, what people's priorities are. And what's positive too is that actually it seems like all of these things are important anyway. But at least it helps us understand what we need to be aiming for initially in our application. So yeah, that's really cool. That's exciting. Thanks, guys. Okay, are you happy for me to stop sharing the results? Yeah. Right, so those are what we just talked about, are everything that's going to go into our Agile Kymru application, and we're going to get that together in the next few days. We're going to share it with PlanEd because they have said that they would be happy to support it. So PlanEd are a community development organization based in Pembrokeshire. They work very closely with some of our network members in Pembroke Dock and Fishguard. And they are very much about community development, very much about developing business across the Irish Sea as well. And they've worked closely with Ports Past and Present in an advisory capacity, really, all the way through. So they are in a position to support the application and to put somebody in place who would be able to take over the network, not take over, but support the network and facilitate it. So we will get busy doing that over the next few days, and we will be in touch. We can update you more on how that's going. In the meantime, before this magical coordinator comes in to help us, we're going to need some kind of plan to just keep things ticking over. So an example we have to begin with is the Port Places app. We have people who volunteer to be app champions for each of their ports, and I'm sure you can contact these people actually if you want to find out more information on how they're using the app and developing it for the area. But we're kind of hoping we can do something similar for the network as well. And by that, really, it'll be a different sort of thing. I think the app champions, they have a different sort of responsibility. What we're thinking, and we can talk about this, is just to literally manage the administration of the website and the email account, the network email account, the LinkedIn group, and the Facebook group, which has not yet been created, but that will be done pretty soon, until the coordinator comes in to take over. And our thinking is maybe that when these people are in place, almost like a committee, it may be that you continue on to support the coordinator in similar kind of role, where those roles might change, or it may be that you decide not to continue with that at all. We're kind of thinking about maybe if, for instance, the coordinator was in place by September, that we would at least have a group of people representing each of the ports that would be able to kind of carry the network along. And perhaps if they want to, they could host meetings after July when we leave this project. So that's an idea, throwing it out there. If you have better ideas, please let me know, and we can discuss those. So we've suggested that if we want to go ahead with this port rep thing idea, that we would need to hear back from people by the 23rd of June as to expressions of interest to do this role. As I mentioned, we're going to do the Agile funding application. Our final network meeting, we will arrange a date in July, and we can send that out to you. And for that meeting, I guess as well, we really want, what would you like from it? What would you like to get from that meeting, and how can we use it well before the Ports Past and Present team leave. So that's kind of it for now. I think I'll come out of here and then we can have a discussion about all of those things. And shall I stop recording now? Would that be?
That would be great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Claire.